Alrighty. We should be live. All right. I hope we're live anyway. We seem to be live. So, what do you think, Steve? Are we live?
No, I'm not live.
You're not live?
No.
All right. Well, let's come back to me.
Because I got the same shirt
right.
on the other day.
I'm alive, but I don't know if there's any sound.
Okay.
Do we have any sound? Just type a 1 if we have sound.
We're completely out of it.
You can hear us. Type 1.
Here we go.
If you're in the chat and you can hear us, type 1. This is how we like to start our podcast off every time, just by the way. You were interested. Oh, well, there's a 1. We'll try this one more time. Type a 1 if you can hear us. Type a 1 if you can hear us. Go ahead and type that 1 if you can hear us. Oh, look. So this is working now.
Oh.
Oh, no, it's not. All right.
Well,
We tried.
right.
Can you hear us well? You can hear if it's got a good sound. Type a 1. Steve says hello anyway. All right, Steve, are you with us yet?
I am with you.
All right, are you with us?
Yeah, pretty good. So.
All right, you're with us? All right, Steve, I'm glad you're with us. That is awesome.
Oh, and you can change too.
And you look at it. It came right to you.
Mhm.
And this is us.
Amen.
We are from Hope in Jesus Ministries. Is that right, Steve?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
What is our website, Steve?
Our website is hopeinjesusministry.org.
Org. Yes, very good. Yeah. Anything you want to say about that? About that website, Steve? Anything you want to say about anything?
Well, yeah, if you go to that website, you can help out with prayer and monetary value.
Sure.
Prison ministry that we do here in Rhode Island.
Yeah. Help support this channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just like it and share it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Test. I don't hear this anymore.
Yeah, well, because I turned that off.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
You know, we're on our wireless.
Alrighty. That's good.
Yeah, so I don't know what this is for.
That's okay.
Anyway,
All right.
it looks professional. Even if
it does. It looks like we know what we're doing, huh?
At least one of us. I'm not sure which one. But one of us looks like we know what we're doing. You guys decide. All right. Well, Steve, I know you have some questions prepared for us.
Yes, I do.
Or what are we looking at today?
Well, we're looking at some end times questions concerning Christ's return, and we've been doing that for I don't know about maybe a week or so
right
now. So this I think is the third time that we have a lot of questions that we can answer. I'm sure we'll get to them.
Mm-hmm.
But our first question today is: how can we trust that biblical prophecy can indeed predict future events?
Say it one more time.
How can we trust that biblical prophecy can indeed predict future events? So,
yeah. So, if I understand the question right, is basically why should we trust the Bible prophecy for future events?
Correct.
Why should we have faith in that?
Right.
Well, I think you have to look at some of the prophecies in the past that the Bible has successfully predicted, right?
Yeah.
That we look at, Daniel and his prediction of the rise of certain empires and describing them and giving them clear and specific places. So we see that. We see Israel becoming a nation. That God said they would be a nation again, or in His return. And people used to say that's never going to happen because for, 1,700 years, Israel was not a nation, and everybody said, "See, the Bible is wrong." And so Jesus predicting and telling of His resurrection that it was going to happen, and sure enough,
it happened.
It happened.
Yeah.
The birth of Christ, where he was born, whom he was born to.
Yeah.
So there's lots of, predictions in the Bible that make it trustworthy that we can, certainly all those prophecies had come to pass and were true. Why shouldn't we trust that some future events that are still to come won't be true, such as the return of Christ?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we have to look at is the consistencies in the Bible that always seem to become or seem to be made true.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we can look at Israel too. Like you said, there's been 1700 years before they became a nation again. But I mean, look at all the, I guess you would call it genocide. And a lot of people were murdered with Hitler. And even now, even today, there's war going on with them now still.
Right.
So,
yeah, they're trying to wipe them out. They're trying to wipe Israel out.
Yeah.
And because there's a prophecy that says they shall look upon whom they pierce. Before Christ's return, the they is the Jewish people, and him being Christ, whom they pierced, they say they will weep. And so there's a remnant of Israel, not all of Israel, but a remnant of Israel, the best of the best, will be saved because they see Christ in his return. So if you're the devil, which I don't know, Steve, you're not the devil, right? I don't know, you're not the devil?
No.
All right. Well, all right. Well, we'll call around. We'll ask. But if you were the devil, there are two options I think you have to stop that prophecy from coming true. Stop Christ.
That's not going to happen, but yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck with that,
All right. Stop Christ. Or kill the they, right? And killing the they has been the measure in which we have seen really since 70 AD this kind of wiping out the nation of Israel and people in that land that are Israelites, right? Which are, this is why the Palestinians are such an evil group of people driven by evil motives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When they say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, meaning they're going to wipe out all of Israel, right? And so there's consequences of war, and then there's purposely genocide and attacking a group of people just because they're a group of people.
Yeah.
And so that has been the case for the Jewish people, but rightly so. This is what they deserve for their stubborn hard-headedness
and a rejection of Christ.
Right?
Yeah.
I listen to social media quite a bit. Ben Shapiro he denies the existence of Christ altogether in his existence of who he is, right? And basically he calls him a whack job that is just try to cause a rebellion.
That Jesus did, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
He didn't do any of the things. He didn't do any miracles or anything. At least that was the younger Ben Shapiro. I don't know if the older has wised up, but I hope he does.
I think he has. I think he has.
Well, towards Christians.
Toward
Probably towards Christians.
Yeah.
But not towards
his own belief
his pagan belief.
Yeah.
That he has. And listen, the Jews have a pagan belief. Even before Christ came.
True.
But God says, whoever blesses Israel will be blessed, and whoever curses Israel will be cursed.
Yeah.
So pick your poison. Right?
Yeah.
But the prophecy is that they will be surrounded by their enemies. And sure enough, they are.
Yeah.
You cannot deny that the Bible is correct in that prophecy.
Yeah. True.
But there's going to come a time when Israel has to make a peace treaty with someone. Someone will have to come to their rescue to try to stop what the Arab world is trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, they're demonic in this endeavor.
So do you think
on both sides?
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's just one is more evil than the other.
Yeah. True.
So.
Yeah. So do you think that it's just mainly for the Jewish people, or is it that people want their land? Is it a fertile land? Do they have a lot of oil? I mean, is there another strategic move they need it for?
Well, it's strategic when it comes to trade and land. It's the only land connected that will connect the two continents, Asia and Africa.
Okay.
So, I mean, you got to go right through
Israel. Okay.
Right, and connect through that into Egypt. And so it's the only really land mass. So that's a little bit strategic, or good. I don't know how fertile the land is now. I don't know. I mean, at the time in which they inherited it, in the time of Moses and Joshua, I mean, they talked about carrying a bushel of grapes that two men had to carry.
Yeah.
On a long pole. One bushel. That's pretty fertile ground.
I'd have to say, yeah.
That's a lot of grapes. Yeah. And so I don't know how fertile the land is. People say it is pretty fertile, and the water comes down from the snow of the mountains and stuff. It keeps the land. So, but but I don't think that's what it is. I just think it's more of a spiritual thing that the devil is always stirring up to keep Israel out, because again, he has to keep them out of that land to stop that prophecy from coming true.
Yeah.
And he's been very successful until the 1940s.
Yeah.
And I can't think, when British destroyed the Ottoman Empire in the 1900s, early 1900s, that this started the beginning of the end for the devil, if you will, Satan, that he understands. So, but he won't give up. He's going to keep on trying.
You're going to have to.
Well, what other choice does he have?
Exactly. Yeah.
He has no other choice.
Right.
If he wants to stay out of hell.
So I was
highly motivated.
Yeah, I would think also, as the closer we get, I guess the worse things are going to get. These are the.
Well, for Israel, and then they make a peace treaty, and this is when the Thessalonians says, when they say peace and safety, then the end comes, because this Antichrist who rises to power, he will promise that he's going to bring peace. He's going to defeat the enemies of Israel or whatever at that time, but he only makes things worse.
Yeah.
Along with God's wrath, making the world worse, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to be screaming. The whole world is going to be screaming, "Oh, finally, peace and safety! We finally have the new world order coming to power.
Yeah.
We have a one world government." Oh, did do the tracking again? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, well. And so we have the one world. We have the one world. Order.
Yeah, the one world government.
One world government, and everybody says peace and safety. So
that's actually the next question. Does the Bible prophesy one world government and one world currency?
Well, it seems that that's the goal. That's the measure of it all. But I'm not sure if it specifically says that anywhere, that there will be a new world order, but I think that's the common sense view.
Right.
Of Daniel talks about a world empire, a power coming, like the Roman Empire.
Right.
Right. And so this is what I mean by new world order. Right. It's a revived Roman Empire of 10 nations. Right. Coming together and forming this superpower,
Right.
right? That seems to dominate the world at the time.
Yeah.
Now, oddly enough, it doesn't name the United States in that superpower, but we might be gobbled up by the European Roman Empire, revived.
Right.
Which is, people will say, no way, that's never going to happen.
But it's not sure. So, what do you think the one world of religion will be at that time?
Well, I think it's what they're trying to make it is whatever you believe is okay. We're not going to disagree with one another.
Yeah.
We're not going to, your God is equal to my God, and we're all just kumbaya.
Yeah.
And, but true believers, they can't sit idly by and allow that to take place.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we will, people will stand up.
Yeah.
And everything, but yes, they'll want everybody to be a part of it. Like if you go down to United Nations now in New York, they have a center in the middle of that. It's a worship center where all faiths can come and worship. It's got a big old cube in there.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Right? And people can go in there and pray and worship
No matter
their
what
God,
religion.
no matter what religion you are. And so I think that is the idea, right?
Yeah.
That they want people to be a part of this one world religion, which is incorporated of all religions. You ever see that sign that says coexist?
Yeah. I feel it. Yeah.
God says we can't coexist. He doesn't coexist. Right? He says, there'll be one against another. And,
I want to be on the winning side. I'll take Christ.
Yeah. Well, the idea is the hate for the Jews will be so extraordinary again in this country and in the world. And the remnant of Israel, they will definitely say, no way, Jose, not doing that.
So, speaking of that now, who are the 144,000? Because obviously they'll be
Sure.
During the tribulation.
Sure. Revelation speaks of stealing 144,000 Israelites, Jewish men from the 12 tribes of Israel. And it names them. It says 12,000 from this tribe, 12,000 from that tribe. And so it's God's, I guess, quad. Let's see, what's 12? Is it 12 to the 10th power? I don't know. But 12,000 compared to the 12 he had.
Yeah.
Right. Are going to be, now times that by 144,000, right? So God is, as much as his wrath is being poured out, his grace and his witnessing power is being explosive at the same time to give man, this opportunity.
So will their job be to go out and to witness to the nations? Is that their job, along with the angels witnessing during the 7 years of tribulation?
Yeah, I mean that is a good part of it. That you have 144,000 devoted men without families.
Yeah,
they're virgin men. They have no families, no ties, nothing to slow them down, nothing to keep them from serving God 100% of their lives. And then you have the 2 witnesses that are in the temple that will be rebuilt, which we seem to be hearing a lot of news about that lately.
Yeah, the red heifer too, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what that in details, and I have to look that up. That does the red heifer have to be born in Israel? Because I know they got them from Texas. But I don't know they have to be born in Israel. So, but the reason for the red heifer is that the ashes must be mixed with water, and that water must be splashed not only on the high priest, but on all the instruments and everything that go into the temple. So they can't really build a temple until they have that, and so they haven't been able to do that. A complete red heifer. I think you can only have like 2 white hairs or something like that.
I know I've read something where everything is in place. That's what they're saying, that they have everything in place to even training the priest and whatever.
Well, good luck, because I'll tell you right now, they can't name precisely who the high priest is. Because all the records and temple records have been destroyed.
Yeah.
Again,
so they need a high priest too, right? Yeah.
Well, they're just going to make it up. This is why they have a pagan religion. Their religion has failed.
Yeah.
And they're futile. And God's about to show them how futile their efforts are.
Yeah.
Right? Because of their stubbornness and hard-heartedness, God is going to bring his wrath down on the Jewish nation, and it's going to impact the whole world.
Yeah.
And then even the hate for the Jews is going to impact the whole world. And listen, you're going to be worse off for hating the Jews than the Jews are going to be in big trouble. It's sort of like a brother spanking his brother before the father gets home. The father's going to do it. Who told you could do that?
Right.
No one told you could do that.
Right.
Well, yeah, but he was doing it. I don't care. That's not you. Now you're going to get it. You're going to get it worse for spanking your brother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's just the way God works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, there's definitely, the evil and injustice that the Jewish nation is doing is between them and God. However, the hatred for the Jews is between man, God, and that is even worse. That they have no good reason, right, to do what they're doing, except for their own selfish, wicked heart. And so God has warned us not to mess around with the nation of Israel. Listen, you can have all kinds of land disputes you want, but that you cannot dispute. God gave them that land.
That's true.
It's all his land, and he wants to give it to Israel, and for good reason.
Yeah.
He gave that land to Israel for good reason. Yeah. Because they were murdering children.
Right.
They were murdering babies for 400 years. They were throwing babies into a fire, a hot pan, to fry them. And God said, I had enough of that.
Yeah.
And so he told Israel he was giving the land to them because of these people were so pagan.
Right.
And they haven't changed. The people in that area have not changed.
So the temple in Jerusalem, who does that belong to?
Well, currently you have them, the Dome of the Rock, and the Muslims have taken control of that area for a long time.
Did they erect that themselves, or
No.
they took it over?
They just took it over.
Oh wow!
The Muslims built nothing.
Right.
They take everything and they paint it and say, "Oh, look what I made."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They paint a different color and they say, "Oh, look what I made." No, that was not made by them. That was made by Europeans, and it's just ridiculous, But they wind up taking it over, and putting in the stupid rock in there.
That's
and
I guess Muhammad came down.
And,
it's just weird.
It's just
their
whole religion is, and it's just perverse.
Yeah.
But so is the Jewish religion. It's perverse too. I mean, all false religions are perverse.
That's true.
That's the way I see it. Any kind of false belief is perverse to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit here and tell you your religion is good when it's not.
Right.
And it's just a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
But God said that will happen. This goes all the way back to Abraham's sin.
Mm.
All the way back to Abraham's sin. All right. Abraham caused this between Ishmael and Isaac. And God basically foretold Ishmael, I'm going to bless you and everything, but your descendants are going to be off the wall.
You were right.
A warring people.
Yeah.
And that's all they've been.
Yeah.
A warring people. Places, up and down.
Mm.
And all nations have that problem. All people groups do, but
Right.
Seems to be more severe.
Jeez.
Right?
Will there be animal sacrifices during the millennial kingdom? You think?
Oh yeah. After the return of Christ,
Yeah.
The sacrificial system on offerings will be brought to Christ. But again, as a remembrance for all the nations, because you got to remember that though we will be transformed and be giving our glorified bodies and be like Christ,
Yeah.
In that sense, immortal,
Yeah.
And sinless. People who come into that millennial kingdom, who start the millennial kingdom, are still earthly, and they still are given in marriage, will reproduce, and their children will be given the knowledge of evil, and it will grow. And so, God is still expecting new during that time, and so having the sacrifices is a way to memorialize Christ and bring into remembrance this thing. But the only difference will be is I believe the Ark of the Covenant will be there, in that new temple that will be built by Christ. He'll be the architect of that temple. And so, but yeah, the sacrifices will be reinstated. Now, will the rest of the law be reinstated? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if we'll be under the Mosaic law during that time. I don't think so. But, Christ will decide what that will be.
It's going to be interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So all believers, like when the rapture happens, the dead are risen first, and then we who are alive, of course. So and then we get our glorified bodies,
Correct.
So we'll be with Christ in Jerusalem or Israel.
Well, I think the rapture is we're caught up into heaven.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So we're caught up into heaven, and we're there for 7 years.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. Being judged and being assigned our place in the kingdom, the 1,000-year millennial kingdom of Christ.
Yeah.
And then at the end of that, we have a last supper, the supper with Christ.
Oh yeah.
Right. And we return. We return based on that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
So who is the false prophet of the end times?
Well, there's some theories on that. I mean, I have a theory that the false prophet is an Israelite. I think that this is their elected leader, their president leader, that he leads Israel and makes this peace, this covenant, 7-year covenant with the European leader. So I believe that this false prophet will be an Israelite, a Jewish person who Christ said, you don't accept me as your prophet, but you will accept one after me. A Messiah, a king, a president, whatever you want to call him. You know what I mean? That you're going to elect this person. And therefore, he's going to be a false prophet, though. Right. He's going to lead you into disaster overall. But believe it or not, a lot of people are going to join and follow them. you know, but I believe he comes out of Israel. I mean, there's not a lot said about him.
Mm-hmm.
He does have powers. He does some miraculous miracles.
Okay.
You know, he raises and heals the Antichrist, who has a gunshot wound to the head.
Okay, yeah, that's what I asked you. Like, that's separate from the Antichrist.
Yeah. Now, how miraculous that is I don't know, but it seems to be something miraculous that people at least believe is miraculous.
Okay, yeah.
And therefore, it's attributed to the false prophet. But then the false prophet, believe it or not, desecrates the temple with this man.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
that's extraordinary.
You know what I mean? And that people are to, you know, receive the mark of the beast. And so, which is the unholy trinity, right?
Right. So, how does an individual during this time, how does he survive the 7 years as a believer? You know, I mean, how does that look like?
Well, there seems to be some protection maybe given to believers during that time. But it talks about them getting their heads chopped off.
Yeah.
The martyrs. Let's talk about a lot of martyrs.
Yeah.
During that time that they're slaughtered for their belief.
Right.
And they cry under the throne of God, "Hey, when are we gonna get justice here?"
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
When are we gonna get justice?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he says, "Don't worry, it's coming soon." You know, and you know, after Satan is cast out of heaven. See, people don't understand that Satan is not cast out of heaven at this point.
Right.
Not completely, anyway.
Right.
And but he will be cast out of heaven completely in the middle of the 7-year tribulation. Right. And so this, he knows now his time is very short. You better round up this remnant and figure out who that they are that he has to kill.
Yeah.
He's been trying to kill them all.
Yeah.
Little by little.
Mm-hmm.
But now he has to figure out how to do that. And so he comes up with the brilliant idea of the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
Right. And so
that makes sense, right?
Right. And so whoever doesn't receive the mark must be the remnant. And so those are the people now I have to kill, which, you know, still a lot of people to kill and round up, but then when they go to Mount Megiddo and set up a defense there, now he's for sure he's got them. And he brings all nations and forces to wipe them out, saying, listen, we can just get rid of these dissenters, right? These radicals, these MAGA people, these Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what they believe. We could just lock them up. We can all have peace. Okay. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right? God is watching. And he says he comes down with the sword of his mouth.
Yeah.
Right? At this time. So, you know, it's going to happen, but he will set up his millennial kingdom based on that. And we see, you know, these things are in place. There's just one more event that has to happen,
which is the rapture.
I think definitely the rapture. The rapture definitely has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I do not believe Christians will have to go through the 7-year tribulation.
Right. That's the next question. You know, what are the strengths and weaknesses of a pre-tribulation? Because people believe in mid, some people believe in post. Sure.
I mean, I don't understand why they believe in mid, and definitely why they believe in post. That at the end, the rapture of the saints happens.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
I think it's two separate events. I think when you look at it, when you look at the Bible carefully and you discern and what we call understand the different ages and who Jesus is talking to, right? In Matthew, he's talking specifically to the Jewish people,
right.
In Matthew 24. And so in Matthew 24, we can see here it says one will be taken and one will be left.
Right.
Two are in the field, one will be taken, one will be left.
Yeah.
The problem with that theory is that can't be the rapture of the saints, because the ones taken is like in the days of Noah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it says, like in the days of Noah.
Right. Yeah. In the days of Noah and his family were the only ones that were on the ark. So they were the only ones that
left.
Yeah.
Right here on earth. The ones taken, not to a good place.
Right.
Right. So that can't be it.
Mm.
Plus, Christ's return is a physical return on the mountain. And the rapture is talking about being caught up in meeting in the air.
Yeah.
And so that's a scenario of events. Common sense and understanding. Common sense is why bride?
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Why call us a bride? You're going to beat us before the wedding.
Yeah.
Right? Before the coming of Christ.
Right.
So, and some people say, well, that's not the wrath of God, but that's not what the people say who are going through it.
Right.
They say, hide us from the wrath of the Lamb.
Yeah.
So that would be a good reason. Jesus told Israel, pray that you have a way of escaping this tribulation that's going to come.
Right.
Well, there is no escape if you're there. Right? So how would you escape it? Well, the progressive revelation of God shows us we can escape that tribulation period if we would just believe in Christ prior to it coming to be.
Right.
But the world doesn't have it. Any verses? Do we have any Bible verses?
We got some up there. We got Mariah 12:10. I think it's referring to what we were speaking about earlier. It says, so that when they look on me, on him whom they have pierced, they shall mourn for him, as one mourns for an only child, and weep bitterly over him, as one weeps over a firstborn. And we get John 19:37. It says, and again, another scripture says, they will look on him whom they have pierced. And we got 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
Right. Well, that's what people say. Oh, the world is getting worse and worse, but the Bible says for the end to come, they say peace and safety.
Right.
So, I don't prescribe to that. I believe that because it's a false peace. This is why it's I think a pale horse, not a white horse, that starts the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's a false peace. It's man's peace. It's temporary.
Yeah.
And the war is going to be bad. I mean, maybe 2 billion people are going to be killed.
Wow.
So that's I think between everybody in all the war of World War II on all sides, you might have 250 million people dying.
Right. So a lot.
So now you're talking a couple billion. So 5 times that travesty or more.
And this is the Armageddon.
The 7 years, the 7-year tribulation. God says it's gonna be bad. People are gonna be so thirsty that they're gonna drink straight alcohol, wormwood, and just to try to quench their thirst. It's going to kill them. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, these places are going to be bad. There's going to be places that are really going to be bad. There are going to be some places that are going to be well off.
Mm. Right. Yeah,
You know?
don't see oil in the wine or something.
Yeah, the rich will be fine.
Yeah.
The Bible says,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going to go to hell, but they'll be fine when they're here.
Right. What are the times?
And not because they're rich, but because they hate God.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
What is the time of the Gentiles?
What does that mean? At the time of the Gentiles?
Mm-hmm.
That God had told Israel, I will choose a people that were not my people, who doesn't speak like you, but speak of another tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm setting Israel aside as the only chosen nation, and now making all nations, including Israel, my representatives here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so God is just saying that the Gentiles are now included in this representation of God. In other words, anybody in the whole world can represent him. They don't have to change their nationality to Judaism to represent God. I don't say effectively, but correctly, righteously. Now, all you have to do is believe in your heart that Christ is your Lord and Savior, and you can now be anointed with the Holy Spirit to go out and represent God. You are now chosen to represent God. So the time of the Gentiles is basically the end of the church age, right? The called out ones.
Right. Okay.
Right? We're all called out to do a certain message. And so the Gentiles are, given a certain amount of time. So once their effectiveness has worn off, in other words, they've reached pretty much the last person for the truth, then God moves on.
Okay.
So that's just the way it is.
Do you think it's possible to know when the rapture is going to happen? Or I think we could understand when the second coming will happen. Of course, that's 7 years, but the rapture.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's very, very difficult to describe because Paul said it can happen at any time.
Right.
He told the early church, and the early church was, be ready. You don't know. It's like a thief in the night.
Yeah.
You don't know when the rapture could possibly happen. And that's to keep the church on its toes, keep them active and ready for the coming and meeting Christ in the air. Right. In other words, the idea is Dad leaves and doesn't tell you when he's coming back.
Right. Yeah.
The reason for that.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't know, and so that you're not doing anything inappropriate, And so, no, the rapture could occur at any time. I just believe it has to occur prior to the 7-year tribulation.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So, when that is now, as we get closer to a 2,000-year period of time, you can therefore begin to predict possibly when the rapture might happen. I think it's at the Feast of Trumpets. It's just my own personal.
Okay, so when
September, the Feast of Trumpets.
Okay, yeah.
That we might be called up.
Yeah.
And that, time. So.
Okay, so we have the Gentiles, and so it says that some people ask, is all, because I think it says it, will all of Israel be saved?
Yeah, I think this is one of the incidents that, what does he mean by all in this case? The Calvinists try to use that when, love the whole world, but.
Yeah.
But in this case, what does all mean?
Right.
In this is all inclusive. All, we know it can't be every person, or does it just mean as a nation?
Right.
of all the promises, right? Because God promised Abraham and the land from the Euphrates River to the Nile River, all the way down to the ocean, would be theirs.
Mhm.
Well, that's a major portion of Asia, a good portion of Africa. They don't have that.
Right. Yeah.
So, what does it mean that all will be saved?
Mm.
We could be just redeemed, bought back. Just speaking of the land,
Okay.
right? It could mean that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not necessarily the people
Mhm.
inside, but it could also mean, the remnant. All of the remnant will be saved. All the true believers
Yeah.
will be saved. And so, I mean, so the Calvinists are right, and sometimes all doesn't mean all in that sense.
Right.
But it's the context that you have to do that, because certainly not every Jewish person is going to be saved.
Right. Okay.
Right.
I think that's what some people believe, that's what the all means, that all of Israel, regardless of their belief in Christ or not. I don't think so.
No, there's only one way to be saved.
Right, exactly.
Well, there we go, man. Believe it or not,
Wow.
we have come to an end of this time together, right? And so, thanks for joining us. You join us live and bring your questions here on Wednesday afternoons. And thanks for listening.
Yeah.